Welcome back to Willie's Garage and welcome to Ford Performance Parts. This is a package I've been waiting on. Well, I haven't been waiting on. I've been looking forward to getting. And well, what's in the box? Nothing, joke's on you. Just kidding, that's what's in the box. We got the control pack for the 3rd gen Coyote with the twin R80. And I'm gonna throw it in today, so stay tuned, here we go. This is everything that came in the 3rd gen Coyote 10R80 Ford Performance Control Pack. Starting off with the intake. You get like a generic intake, I guess. I don't actually know what this came off of. Probably a Mustang, but I don't know. It should fit in the car somewhat. We'll have to see. Then you got computer, the gas pedal, engine wiring harness, minus the engine wiring harness. It'll make sense in a minute. Transmission wiring, some sort of pigtail, not 100% sure what it's for. Same with this sender unit, I'm not sure what that is. That might be an oil pressure sensor. And then up and down shift for the transmission, pigtail, maxi fuse, O2 sensors, upper and lower radiator hoses, and a PCV tube, breather tube. So that's everything that came in this kit. We're gonna start off with this guy here. We're gonna start routing that and getting it into the car. So here we go. All right. This is the main wiring harness that comes with this control pack. And in it, you have everything that isn't already on the engine wiring harness itself. I know that sounds a little strange, but if you're buying a used engine, it should come, or you should make sure it comes with the actual engine harness already on it or with it. If you're buying a crate engine, you'll have to buy that engine harness separate. Either way, you're going to need it. Essentially, this is leaking everything that isn't on. This is everything you would need that isn't already on the engine if you were to buy a used engine with an engine harness, or a crate engine and you buy the engine harness separate. I'm just gonna leave it at that. So, first thing we're gonna do is kind of set this out to where we can start routing it. Obviously, you got your big connector up here. That is gonna go to your computer. And the engine, actually that's the transmission. The engine wiring bulkhead is right here. So everything's gonna be routed to here as far as wiring harness for the engine, trans, and this Ford Performance wiring harness. I need to replace this transmission harness that's already on here that came from the used car and go with the one that came in the kit. So for now, I'm just gonna leave it alone. I'm just gonna start trying to wires, or not wire, but route some of these wires to where I think they would probably go. This is the setup I've got so far. I've got the intake in. Not necessarily because I want to run this intake, but because it's probably what I'm going to use for the first startup. And I also want to try to run a battery on this side instead of having to put one in the trunk. So I'm trying to keep this area open. I've already test fitted. I don't know if that's the right size battery for this engine, but I've test fitted that battery into this area and it does fit. I'll just have to figure out some sort of tray. But I think I'm gonna leave the fuse box over here. I ran all of the, I guess, internal car wires into there. Your OD2, throttle position, clutch pedal if you had one, and I think that's it. Well, there's actually one more up there that I actually don't know what it's for, and I really struggled to get it in the hole. That's what she said, but inline to IP pigtail. So I don't know what that is. Not sure if I need it, but it doesn't quite reach into the car, so hopefully it doesn't need to go into the car. Anyway, I got that side of the wiring harness ran to the inside, got it routed underneath the wiring harness. And if I do end up running it this way, I'm not saying this is 100% how it's going to be ran, but if I do run it this way, I'll obviously tuck these wires and make it look better. But the rest of the wiring harness is going to go underneath. This is the main plug that goes to the computer. And then I'll have to backtrack a little bit. All these other wires will actually come back this way. I'll have to look at the instructions and see what all I'll need, because there is some more stuff over on this end. Like the can minus, can plus, there's a key on 12 volts, blunt lead, that goes to the cooling fans, and then the starter signal. So all that stuff's gonna stay over on this side. The rest of this, engine to inline to trans, and then the actual PCM. So yeah, one thing I'll have to look into that I didn't think about, but thought about while I was installing this, is I don't even know how this gets power. So I have to figure that out. Yeah, I'll have to look at the instructions. But yeah, this is what I got so far. The only thing that I'm not going to be able to run, if I do run it, well, like I said, that's not going to stay on there, obviously. But yeah, I think next I'll run this trans harness. I'll take the old one out, put this one in. I got the transmission wiring harness out, the old one. And like I mentioned, the only difference is really this connector here, which I don't really know what it goes to. There's the upstream O2 sensor and the two downstream O2 sensors that are on this wiring harness. Other than that, it's pretty much the same thing. I got the transmission wiring harness all routed up here. I got it coming up, or I guess coming from here, routed up down through the by the firewall over the top of the transmission, just like the OEM one was. And then as far as those what are they called, O2 sensor plugs, I've got it routed right along here. This, I don't think, well, most of this should be covered by the fender liners, but I've got it coming over here to this O2 sensor. And then the other one, oh, you guys aren't gonna be able to see. It goes over the transmission right to the other side where, you know, the other header is. So that worked out pretty good. The other thing I did was removed this little wiring harness here. This wiring harness had the O2 sensor for the driver's side, alternator plug. You also had, I think this one was the sensor for the power steering rack, the starter signal wire, and then you had these two guys, which were for the AC. And then this guy, I'm not sure exactly what he did. He wasn't plugged into anything. So that's everything off of this wiring harness. and it can go into the pile. Now, the only thing we have left on this engine is the actual engine wiring harness and the battery terminals here, and the alternator wire to the battery. That's all that's left from the 2020 Mustang as far as wiring goes. So yeah, making good progress. So the next thing that I'm going to do is route this wiring harness, start plugging it in where the plugs need to go, and then eventually have this connector end up right down here. So let's get started. All right, this is what I got so far. Got the alternator plugged in, and then as I showed you earlier, you got the fuse box up there, and it's coming down, running across the radiator, and then that bulkhead or connector, ECU connector, it's right where it needs to be. Over here you got the fan lead, and then the starter signal wire, which lines up perfectly. So all this stuff is good. The other wiring that I don't need, this was for like if you're supercharged, there's like a intercooler temp sensor or something, ambient air, blah 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 blah. All I need from this is the MAF sensor, which actually I think it's this one, yeah. And that one will actually reach perfectly to where it needs to go, which is like right about here. The rest of the wiring, the plugs that go into the car, is all stuff that needs to be in the car anyway. You got your data link, your mill light, your clutch pedal, but we don't have one, so it doesn't matter for that. PADS module, if we wanted to run one. Apps, I still don't know what that is, but it needs to be inside the car. And then you guys probably won't be able to see, but let's see, where is it? Right up here, right at the bulkhead, there is another connector, and that connector actually goes to this guy, and it is not, from what I could tell, it wasn't a weatherproof plug, even though I'm pretty sure all plugs are. I was gonna leave it outside the car, but anyway, this plug right here, that's what it goes to. It's your fuel pump, signal wire, shift up and down, and then there's a couple other, I can't remember off the top of my head. SMR, I don't know what that is. Shift up, toggle, yeah. So that needs to be routed into the car. This whole portion will be in the car. Yeah. I thought about doing the fuse box on this side again, and then just flopping everything back around, and then having the interior wiring go through that grommet in the firewall, but none of that would reach, especially the accelerator pedal position sensor plug. That wouldn't have reached if I did it from this side. Yeah, there was a lot of thoughts going through my head, especially when it came to this maxi fuse. And this is where the power will come from the battery to the fuse box. So now I'll have to run some, like, I think it's like at least a 4-gauge wire from this fuse, which I'm probably gonna put over here close to the battery, and I'll just run a wire along, and then it goes to this terminal here. That terminal is also for something I can't remember off the top of my head. There's a lot to this. Once I get it all done, I'll do a whole overview of everything. But for now, just kind of running through everything as I go. But yeah, I've got some extra wire over here. That's where I was going with this max fuse. If I need it, I don't actually know what size gauge wire this is, but this was the wire to the electric power steering for the 2020 Mustang, so I'm sure it would be fine. If not, I can use this wire, which was from the alternator for the old 5.0. Either way, I'm gonna have to run a wire to and from the fuse box to the maxi fuse to the battery. So with that, I think I'm gonna oh, one more thing I did. All of the light wiring I wrapped up, got it tucked up under the this little lip here in the core support coming down. I also have wrapped up wire, the rest of the light wire going into the interior here, and the rest of the wiring, windshield wiper. This is all the power to the fuse box for the rest of the car, the interior of the car. And yeah, I wrapped that up. All stuff you guys would not have wanted to watch. It would have been painful to watch. So I just did it. Let's see, what else? Yeah, this wiring bundle, I got to figure out where I'm gonna put it or what I'm gonna do with it. The instructions literally say to cut that stuff off and then just heat shrink it so it's not exposed, but I don't want to do that because, well, it's all the stuff you need if you were going to supercharge your 5.0. Not saying that I'm going to, but I'd like to leave that option open if I wanted to. So as of now, that's all I'm gonna have to figure out a good way to store that in the meantime. Aeroplane. But for now, I think I'm going to mount the ECM bracket so I can get that all squared away. And then, yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do after that. So I'm just gonna start on that. Here we go.
Okay, got the ECU finally mounted up. And as you guys may or may not have seen, I don't know how much I actually filmed or what I actually filmed, but I mangled up this bracket for the ECU to kind of get it to fit how I want it to. The original way it was mounted, it would have mounted to the bottom of the frame rail. Now I've got it mounted on the inside of the frame rail. That just allowed me to get some more room for this wheel or tire, I guess, wheel and tire, whatever. Before it was millimeters away from touching. Now we've got a couple inches, inch and a half. And the tire wheel combo that I'm getting should actually be like half an inch to an inch shorter than what you see here. So I should be able to gain another inch right there. Now that the ECU is finally in, mentally it's permanent now, so now I can finish wiring everything up and make everything permanent. So I had to take out some fuel, or whatever these are called, AC lines. I had to take the radiator out and yeah, just drill those holes in those riv nuts, and I didn't do a very good job. That was my first time actually putting a riv nut in, but I didn't realize it, but I was too high on the side here, and I actually ended up drilling into the top of the frame rail here, which isn't really that big of a deal, but I should have either moved it all the way up or further down. But anyway, it's kind of in there crooked, but I had to do my best I could drilling out this hole for the riv nut, because I still had this AC line in, and this AC line was kind of in the way still too. So, yeah. Trying to think of anything else that really stood out for what I was doing. But yeah, anyway, I'm gonna start throwing things back together and then start putting wires or attaching wires where they are going to permanently live for now, until like next week when I have to mess with something and then it gets all changed. But anyway, I'm gonna route all these wires, put everything back together. Here we go. Okay, got a lot done in that last clip. Got the fuse bus bar thing all mounted up there. The one thing I don't know about this though, I do have the alternator wire running to it on the battery side of this fuse block. So I'm not sure if I'm actually going to be able to do that or if I just need to run it straight to the battery cable, or battery, I guess I should say. But I'll figure that out, let you guys know. But I've got the actual power wire here for the fuse box going up to here. Got the fuel pump wire on there too. And then this was the fan, I believe that's the fan wire for the actual control pack that was on there when it got here, when it came like that. But yeah, it's coming along. So there's your little update, and then I also got the battery tray in. But yeah, so there's the update. I think I'll put the radiator back in for the final time, and then start routing wires, or maybe install this guy. Maybe I'll install this guy first, then start routing wires. Or I guess I could do it. No, I'll route wires and install this. But yeah, so there's your update. Okay, last update of today. Got the battery tray in, battery back in. Man, I don't even know what I did now. I got the intake in, radiator back in. I think I mounted this up before the last update. I can't remember, but either way, that's mounted up. Yeah, I got all of the, this is all of the supercharge wiring. And like I said, don't know if I'm gonna do that or not yet, so I'm gonna leave it. I'll probably put some dielectric grease in all the plugs and wrap them up so nothing happens to them. And then I got everything routed back under here. It all looks pretty dang good. Yeah, I think I'm gonna eventually trim these up. These are the battery cables, alternator cable. These are I don't know what these are. I'll have to look in the manual, see what these are for, but I don't think I need them. And then we got the starter request that I need to just put back in there. Fan, which needs to go up over here somewhere, obviously on the inside of the apron, and then a ground. So really not that much left to wire up. Yeah, miscellaneous plugs in there. These all plug together. And then let's see, got the O2 sensor harness kind of wired back in. Got to finish it up. You guys saw that earlier, but I had to remove it because I actually have done 2 videos in the time that I started this video. And one of those videos was the sway bar, and I actually ended up having to move the brake lines back. Anyway, if you want to know all about that, you can watch the video. But yeah, so it's just a bunch of minor adjustments at this point, and I'm pretty much done with control pack wiring. As far as the actual body harness wiring for the Foxbody, still got to finish that up, at least finish this up, which I need to put all those wires together. This is power to the fuse box in there, and I need power to the fuse box because the way I am wiring it up, I'm going to use the ignition so I can start the car. And so yeah, I need to get power to this harness so I can start the car. This is just miscellaneous stuff. Oh, I need to put the gas pedal back in. But yeah, still waiting on fluids. Those should be here hopefully tomorrow. If not, then it's probably not going to make it in the video, and we're not going to start the car. So, yeah, we're very close, very super duper close to finishing. I'm trying to think of anything else. Don't need any of that. Extra gas pedal, O2 sensors. Yeah, don't need that. That I might get to if we start the car. And then, oh, the fan wire. I need to wire that still up, which is just adding wire to the adding wire to the positive and negative of those harnesses and routing it up to this guy, which I still need to wire that, but that won't take very long. Yeah, we're getting there. We are getting there. I got the fan wiring all done as far as what came with the fans. And hopefully you guys understood what I was doing there. Essentially, I was just connecting together the pigtail for this fan and this fan together and then come out to one wire. That's what these 2 wires are here for. They're eventually going to run up over here to this strut tower where this will be mounted. And then, yeah, the fan wiring should be done. I'm actually going to pull them back out. I was just making sure everything fits up. And then I'm gonna tape them up real quick and then route these wires up where they need to go to this guy, and then get the Ford control pack fan wiring trigger, get that routed up to here also. And then I'll have to get some wiring from the battery to this guy. So yeah, that'll be it for this. Anyway, let me get those wires back out. I'm gonna tape them up and then get started on that other stuff. Okay, final update for the wiring on this thing. Pretty much done. There's a few things that I haven't finished up, but pretty much done. I think where I left off was the AC wiring. So here we got the little, I think it's honestly just a starter relay now that I think about it, but anyway, power going to it on this side, battery ground. This is going to be your trigger wire. So that's either going, then this little box is either going to tell this thing to give power to the fans to this terminal, either from the Ford control pack or the actual HVAC control from the inside. So that wired up to here to this pressure switch, and then this purple wire here actually goes into the car. Red wire goes down to the fan clutch, and then I've got the fan clutch ground wired up to this guy. That goes to the battery. Hopefully that's okay. Should be okay. Anyway, good time to mention, I got my riv nut tool in. Put a riv nut in, and then there's already a hole here, and I think it was like an N12 riv nut. So I've got this guy grounded to the chassis ground here. This ground wire here goes up to the battery. This goes down to the the engine block. This guy goes to the control pack. I shortened up the starter power wire, the alternator power, and the ground. Shortened all those guys up so it looks clean under there. Still got to figure out what this is. That's one of the reasons why we're not quite ready to start. Another thing is I still haven't called to see if I can actually run the alternator wire to this part of the fuse, this little fuse block, the mini fuse. So another reason, second reason. Third reason, I just need to make sure everything's good, tighten everything up, make sure there's nothing haywire in here. But I also added another ground here. That is grounding the relay for the fuel pump, and then also the windshield wiper here, and then a ground wire that came from the fuse box. That should be grounding the fuse box for the actual Foxbody. Let's see. Inside here, you can see the remnants of the old ignition wiring there. It was all hacked from when I got it. There was a old alarm system that was in here. So I got a new one and wired it up here, or I guess spliced in the new wires to the old ones in the proper locations. But in here, we've got that one pigtail that comes in here, and that has all the wiring for the shift button here. And then it also has the starter request and the 12-volt ignition on relay wire. So that's going to be your green one, your ignition relay on. You're going to send that one if you're doing this on your 87 to 93 Foxbody. It's going to be this green and red wire. That wire when you turn the key one time. So let's see here. So off, once you turn it on, that wakes up the system, gives power to the ECU, and then the starter request wire is the blue wire coming off that pigtail. That's going to go to the white and pink wire here. And that wire is going to go all the way when you go to actually start it. It's going to give power, or it's going to tell the Ford control pack to start the car. That's about it for the interior. I cleaned up some more wires. Not really gonna go over anything in there because I don't really remember what I did. Honestly, I know I cut out a bunch of the airbag system, essentially. All the sensors that were on the front and the sensors that go to the rear. I cut a lot of that stuff out, and the actual module itself. So that's mostly what I cut out of there. And stupidly, I cut out the original connectors to the dash, which I still needed those for the new dash that I'm putting in. But anyway, I'll figure it out later. I think later this week, I'm just gonna make a part 2 of this video of me explaining everything I did, because the video now is kind of wishy-washy. It kind of makes sense, but it could be definitely done better. But this is my goal this year, to put out a video every week. And I haven't missed a Monday since January, so not gonna start that now. That's why I'm out here Sunday night. Worked all day today, work tomorrow. So as soon as I get off work tomorrow, I gotta export the video and then upload it to all of the YouTubes. So anyway, if you enjoyed the video, like, comment, share, subscribe. Look forward to that second part. So do make sure you subscribe. And I'll catch you on the next one.